Blog Talk Radio.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. You're listening to Blue Star Radio, and I'm your host, Emily Cleland. For those of you who don't know, my show is dedicated to bringing support, awareness, inspiration, and love to our younger generation of starseeds or star children. Now, these are kids who are often highly self-aware. They may retain memory from past lifetimes. They're hyper-creative, hypersensitive, deeply empathic, and often psychic or telepathic. And some either have had or continue to have ongoing experiences with extraterrestrials or spirit guides. And because of the way things operate on this planet, many of these kids can feel a sense of non-belonging or being an outcast, and that often leads to feeling very alone and isolated. Now, these sensitive beings, if not understood and nurtured properly, are very likely to turn to self-destructive behaviors as a way to numb themselves to our current way of life. Yet there is a very specific purpose for them to be here. So these children may also be described as the indigos, the crystals, rainbows, empaths, etc., and are usually highly misunderstood and mistreated within our current societal paradigm. I understand and know this very deeply, which is why I do the work that I do. My role here is to provide insight and guidance for those who are struggling to understand themselves or who already know this and need some support. I'm also here to bring awareness to this group so that we can learn how to nurture them versus confuse and suppress them. And if you're interested in checking any of this out, you can visit my own website, which is www.ignitespirit.ca. So during our airtime, we will share stories, insights, and wisdom of overcoming challenges, following our dreams, creating change, speaking our truth, finding our inner guidance, discovering ourself, exploring consciousness, and choosing love. So with all that being said, let me welcome my very special guest today, my brother, Dan Cleland from Pulse Adventure Tours. And he's going to share a little bit about his journey, his visions, his goals, his insights, his knowledge and experience with the Amazonian jungle, shamans, life-changing adventures, powerful plant medicine, and what it took to bring his dreams into reality. And also later on in the show today, we will be accepting callers, so if you have questions or comments for me or my guest, please dial 347-637-2634, and you will be put into our caller queue. So Daniel Cleland is an entrepreneur, adventurer, scholar, and world traveler. He's traveled over 30 countries, been running his own boutique adventure travel company, Pulse Tours, since 2011. In 2014, Daniel and his partner founded the successful Ayahuasca Adventure Center in the Amazon jungles of Peru. Their projects are creating positive change for their clients, for a small village in the jungle, and for the world. So welcome, Dan, and thank you so much for being here.
Thank you very much, Emily. I appreciate the invitation and really support the work that you're doing. I think it's inspirational and something that's very much so needed on the planet right now. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks. I agree with you. So, Dan, what are you guys doing down there? Tell me a little bit about Peru and the work that you guys have been up to.
Well, as you know, there is an interesting phenomenon going on right now, which is thousands of Westerners or travelers from different parts of the world coming down to South America to experience ancient shamanic traditions using a collection of different shamanic medicines natural to the Amazon jungle. Probably the most widely used, widely sought, is a medicine called ayahuasca, which is made up of a couple of different plants from the Amazon jungle, a vine and a leaf, and together they form a very powerful psychedelic plant medicine, which is used in a shamanic context with native healers for spiritual divination, physical cleansing and healing, and connecting to, I guess, a more profound reality or sense of purpose. So what we've done is created a retreat center deep in the Amazon jungle where we offer retreats practicing with these psychedelic medicines, in particular ayahuasca, San Pedro, and also a cambo, which is a secretion from a particular type of frog there. We've also integrated a little fun and adventure into the experience by offering daily jungle adventures into the surrounding rainforest and getting to know some of the nature and some of the animals there, which we find to be very beneficial for people, especially coming from the concrete jungles of the Western world. And we've also built a fitness facility on site, so it's become more of a holistic kind of health and wellness center where people can get great nutrition, develop some beneficial physical fitness habits, connect spiritually and do some psycho-spiritual work with the medicines, and also have a little bit of fun. So that's what we do.
Wow, that sounds pretty awesome. And I know I haven't been down there yet, but eventually I'm definitely going to come down and check it out. So just curious for our listeners, what was it that inspired you to get into this type of work?
Well, they say that ayahuasca calls a person. And I guess it was back in 2008 when I first discovered ayahuasca, reading about it through, I think, Daniel Pinchbeck's book, 2012, The Return of Quetzalcoatl. And I met a guy down in Brazil who was going to do it. So that was kind of the first thing that caught my interest, this powerful psychedelic medicine that people were using for, very profound experiences. So I knew about it back in 2008, and a couple years later, I found myself in a very, very difficult position where, things were very dark. I was off track. My life path had really taken a turn for the worse. I'd recently also fallen 20 meters from a cliff in Australia, shattered my femur and my pelvis. I was in the hospital for a month. I was in a wheelchair for a month after that, and I had about an 18-month recovery to go through. My time in the hospital, as soon as I got there, they started pumping me full of morphine and then subsequently an inexhaustible prescription to OxyContin, which was fun for a little while, but certainly turned into quite a difficult addiction to wrestle with. So I was generally coming off of this injury after having taken a real dive bomb with my life path, and my body was broken. My romantic life was in shambles or non-existent. My educational career was off track. My professional career was off track, and I just wasn't very happy with myself at all. I remember writing in my journal that I felt like there was just these massive globes of garbage orbiting around my head. I just couldn't get my thoughts under control, and I was sabotaging every aspect of my life. And so that's when I really decided that, I'd known about this medicine already, and I started seriously looking into it, actually from my hospital bed. So that was when I decided to go for it. And shortly after that, it was a bit of a journey actually getting to the medicine, but I'm very happy I did, because in even my first ceremony, I experienced some very deep, very profound transformations and some realizations, and my life really began to take a turn for the better just from that one ceremony. It's been a long ride getting things together, but it's a step-by-step process, and that was.
Wow, that's a pretty phenomenal story of transformation. And I mean, I know who you are now, and I've seen this, so I kind of have a different perspective and an insider look as to all the things that you've been through. And I can definitely say that I've seen a huge improvement on your passion and your sense of purpose and your love and understanding of how things work. And it's been a beautiful process to witness. So thanks so much for sharing that. And I can see the purpose of the ayahuasca for you, and how it's worked for you. And what would you say, like, for the whole world and consciousness on a collective level? What would the purpose of what you're doing by sharing the ayahuasca with others, and especially others coming down from the Western world, how would you say that it's contributing to bettering the world in that way?
Well, even just using my own micro example of like my level of aggression in life, my anger, contempt, cynicism, all of that has been dramatically reduced. You know, I used to be quite an angry individual. Excuse me. And I mean, the relationships in my life have dramatically improved, particularly with my family, and just really understanding, you know, the what's important in life and who's important, and really just striving to live my own potential. So you can imagine every person that has a transformation.
Oh, we're losing you a bit here.
Through different relationships.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, we're good now.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay. Ripple effect that spreads through society, spreads through life.
Okay, it's kind of breaking up now.
Well, okay. How about now?
I can hear you. It kind of goes in and out, but let's see if it. I don't know what's changed or what's different, but let's see if we can.
Well,
keep
it's
going.
probably some type of connectivity issue.
Yeah. Okay. So continue.
Effect on the world, right? Each person you touch in your life, if you touch them with love instead of anger or contempt or cynicism or depression or apathy, that has an effect that's more beneficial on the rest of the world. Also, you know, I believe that once ayahuasca clears away some of these blockages that prevent people from really finding their purpose, really achieving their full potential, then people can do greater things in life. And if you look around the world, look at guys like Aubrey Marcus, look at like Amber Lyon, for example, people who have a huge amount of influence, that are touched by the medicine, that clear their lives up, that find their true path, and then go ahead and just become these hugely inspirational voices that touch thousands and thousands of people. I mean, from a grander scale, that's how the medicine's working. You know, it's reaching around the world, it's touching people from all corners, and those people are reacting by spreading the love. And I think that's very important as from a global healing perspective.
Definitely. And, you know, it can be said that a lot of our issues stem from our disconnection with the planet and from ourselves and from each other. And could this be something that also the medicine would help to reconnect us to?
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. 100%. I mean, it's unavoidable that the medicine is going to connect you with nature, connect you with, in particular, with it's almost like it can show you the fabric, the flow of the universe, and you get connected with the universe on a grand scale, just experiencing not with words so much, but with emotion, with imagery, with just an understanding of the grandeur of the universe, of how things work, of the flows, of the cycles, of the never-ending isness of it. Like, it's just it's something that can fill a person with awe, and then really kind of disintegrate the insignificant problems that were weighing on your mind before you went into the ceremony. And that's what I've discovered through my experience working with many people, is that, you know, people come down trying to overcome some big, massive trauma or some big, massive problem in their lives, or a relationship, and expecting to work through it or face it, you know, and they're afraid because they think they're going to have to face this fear or face this trauma. And I was too. Well, before I did it, I was hearing these stories of how it was, you know, you have to confront your demons and everything. But in reality, what happens is that your demons just disintegrate. You don't confront them. You don't fight them. They disappear, you know, and a lot of the time...
It's kind of like tearing apart the illusion.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, it's just like, okay, so these problems, these things, these traumas can become so insignificant that you wonder why it was even bothering you in the first place, you know. Mm-hmm. And that's really, I think that's a very transformative experience, because then you can get on with your life. You can start worrying about the big things, like, okay, I've got X amount of years left on this planet in this lifetime. What am I going to do with it? You know, am I going to waste it, or am I going to make something of it? Am I going to leave a legacy behind me that I'm proud of? You know.
Mhm. Mhm. Well, I can certainly say that, you know, you've taken that very seriously, and you've pulled something together that, for many people, seem like an incredible creative feat or undertaking, and I definitely want to touch on that and share that with our listeners today. So that's something I know you're very proud of, and anyone can do it, right? We can all do that, and it's just a matter of tearing apart those illusions and having the courage to do so, right? And definitely, I would say that's a major quality that I've seen in you, is just that courage and that willingness to go into your shadow, go into the depths, and shed the light of consciousness there. And by doing so, you've been able to, you know, step into your huge creative power. So that's amazing.
Absolutely. I've really found that ayahuasca has given me a lot of ideas. Like, I would say basically my entire life situation right now is constructed based on ideas that I've gotten during or after ayahuasca ceremonies. Mm-hmm. So it's like you really, it can open up the path forward, and then you just know what to do. But honestly, the rest of it comes down to hard work and learning. You can't just do a ceremony and then go change the world. You have to read. You know, you have to study. You have to learn how to operate. You have to continuously be building yourself and developing yourself, and working hard to get where you need to go with very like iron determination. Absolutely.
Yeah. And I've certainly seen that in you, for sure. So, we'll talk about that in a little bit. What I'd like just for our listeners to have some sort of picture or idea of what they can kind of expect from an adventure with Pulse Tours. So, for example, like if I was going to book with you, what type of adventure would be available, and what would a ceremony look like?
Okay, well, we really we work in Peru primarily. We do work in some other South American countries, but for the time being, based on our limited human resources, we're working in Peru. So at first you'd have to ask yourself, do you want to do some traveling, or do you just want to go to a retreat? Because we have the retreat center, the Ayahuasca Adventure Center, but we also, Pulse Tours is also kind of a multi-destination adventure travel company. So, the two primary regions we work in are the Amazon jungle and in the Andes Mountains. So we have like a multi-destination trip that goes up into the Andes and allows you to see Machu Picchu with a really good guide, and do some San Pedro as well, which is another South American medicine from the Andes, a cactus, the San Pedro cactus, with a healer we've got up around the Cusco area. And then we've also got the Amazon region, which is where the Ayahuasca Adventure Center is located. So I would say the most popular of our services is the 7-day Amazon Ayahuasca Adventure. And that basically involves pickup in Iquitos, Peru. We take you out into the jungle to our center, which is about 4 or 5 hours away from Iquitos. So it's not connected by road. It's way out there. You've got to take a van for 2 hours to get to the closest city. You get on a boat, and then you're going down the Marañón River until you get to the confluence of the Marañón, the Amazon, and the Ucayali. And then you go up the Ucayali River till you get to our place. Along the way, there are all kinds of dolphins and nice birds and beautiful scenery. Hopefully it's sunny. There's potential to go for a little swim along the way. You get to our place, and so we do out of a 7-day retreat that includes 6 nights at the Ayahuasca Adventure Center. Out of those 6 nights, you get 4 ayahuasca ceremonies and 2 evening jungle excursions. So on the first night, we have an evening jungle excursion. Generally what we do is go out crocodile hunting or night walking in the jungle. When I say crocodile hunting, I don't mean crocodile killing. I mean catch and release. We have professional jungle guides, so we go out in the boats underneath the stars. We go out to a little creepy little lagoon somewhere and shine flashlights around looking for crocodile eyes. And then the guide will catch them with their bare hands, pass them around the boat, take some photos, and let them go and head back. The second day, we also offer a Kambo ceremony, which is a type of frog venom. It's a secretion that is wiped from the back of the monkey frog, and that's applied to the skin and provides a bit of a purging effect and an immune boosting effect. That's during the day. We offer daily jungle expeditions after that, so we've got our guide taking you out, maybe doing something like a medicinal plant walk through the forest, or maybe we go take you to see some like a 3-toed sloth. There's some monkeys, there's some birds, there's some lizards, iguanas, snakes, maybe fishing, piranha fishing, these types of activities. And then on night 2, we've got an ayahuasca ceremony, and we follow that. Ceremonies integrated with different jungle expeditions at night and during the day. We do conversations with the shaman so that people can express their intentions and what they are looking to get out of the experience. We have great food. We offer superfood smoothies every day. And we have a fitness facility on site with yoga as well. So people can do kind of yoga and they can work out a little bit to keep their physical body in good shape. And
so it's really for the adventurous souls.
Well, it is the Ayahuasca Adventure Center, right? I mean,
yeah.
There are plenty of other places that are a little more relaxed, where you just kind of go and sit around all day and not really do anything, and then do ceremonies a few times a week. But I find that program kind of boring, actually. So this is why we have spiced things up a little bit with a little fun adventure and activity, so that you're not sitting around twiddling your thumbs all day thinking about your problems. You can actually get out and have some fun, deal with your problems at night, have some fun during the day. Is kind of my philosophy.
Well, you guys have people coming who are all ages, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think the youngest person we've had there is maybe 19 or 20, but yeah, I think the oldest we've had was 71 years old. Actually, we had one gentleman come down for his 70th birthday, and he came down the year later for his 71st birthday. So yeah, definitely all ages. But yeah, most of our clientele are kind of in their 20s or 30s, I would say.
Yeah. They're ready and willing to take full advantage of being in the middle of the Amazon.
Absolutely. Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
Awesome.
Well, I mean, you're traveling across the world. Why not have a little fun and see some nature and see some animals? You know, you're coming down to the jungle. At least get out there and have a look at it, right?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So, so during a ceremony, like just quickly, what kind of things happen during the ceremony?
All kinds of things. So I'll explain the environment. It's dark. We begin the ceremonies after the sun goes down. So it begins with some candlelight. It's very quiet. Generally, we bring people in an hour before the ceremony begins so they can get grounded and centered. Sometimes we do breathing exercises or meditation to really get people focused. We then call people up one at a time to have their medicine. So they'll come up. We have two shamans that are working, both Shipibo shamans, which is kind of the I would say the most well known in the shamanistic sphere. We have a male and a female shaman. So our guests will come up one at a time, drink a very small cup of the medicine. The medicine we prepare is very concentrated, so you don't need to drink very much. And they'll return to their mattress. Everybody gets their own individual mattress to undergo the ceremony. So you've got a nice comfy space with pillows and blankets and things. So you return to your mattress, you lay down. Within about 15 minutes to an hour and a half, the medicine will begin to take hold and take effect, and you'll begin to feel a surge of intensity coming up, and I guess you begin to feel very warm and kind of comfortable. Excuse me, it's very dry this winter weather. Wow. So you begin to feel warm and soft and comfortable and kind of laid into your mat. Sometimes you can actually feel uncomfortable. Sometimes you can feel warm or cold. Sometimes you begin to see some visions very quickly. Sometimes the visions come on a bit later. Sometimes not at all. Generally, and
there's support for those who are going through their experience and their journey.
Absolutely, yeah. We have at least two. We have at least two facilitators on site. At least one female facilitator, and at least one male facilitator. Actually, right now our general manager is a registered nurse who is a combat medic in the U.S. Marine Corps, and our female facilitator is from Portugal. She speaks Spanish and English and Portuguese. Really cool, and they both been working often with medicines. It's not only our place but other places as well that are well known and reputable. And so there are people there. You know, sometimes especially for first timers, you know, the visions or the experience can get a little bit intense. It feels like it's just climbing and climbing and climbing, and you're going into a place where you've never been before. So it can be a little bit nerve-wracking or a little bit scary, but you know, eventually the climb stops and it becomes a plateau, and you get comfortable, you get into the experience, and then you can start having some really kind of profound realizations. You can have some really, really beautiful visions of all different kinds of things. You can connect with, deceased loved ones. You can connect with.
So you're doing a documentary called Drinking the Jungle, and
yes,
and
it's out. I mean, it's released.
And it describes a little bit about the ayahuasca experience and what people are saying, what they've experienced, right?
Yeah, so Andrea Gilbert, the filmmaker, actually came down to Peru and did a retreat with us and actually traveled all the way up to Cusco and did San Pedro and Machu Picchu and all that kind of thing. And she documented her experience. And we also had a couple of other special guests there. There was Daniel Maselli, who was a writer for Reset.me, which is Amber Lyon's psychedelic journalism website. And we had James Gesso, who was an author and psilocybin expert, who came down. He's very accustomed to the psychonautic sphere. And so he offered some commentary as well. And then there was some interview. She did an interview with our shaman and kind of got an idea of how he began working with medicines and things like that. So it's really cool. We had an original soundtrack done by a Swiss DJ called We Are All, and it was awesome. We basically recorded a bunch of Wheeler's, like our shaman's Icaros, which are the chants that they do, and he overlaid it with some original beats that he's created, like some house beats, a little bit of it's kind of like a trippy soundtrack that has some chants and Icaros in it, which is pretty cool. And we also have some animations in there from, I forget what the gentleman's name is. He's an Austrian guy. So it's more of an experiential, artistic evocation of the ayahuasca experience through the eyes of these guests that came to our place. So it's really interesting. Yeah. Great.
And people can access that from your website, or will it be on YouTube?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's on our website. There's a post there right in the blog. It's on page 1 of our website. Or you can search out Drinking the Jungle, and that will come up online as well. If you Google it, Drinking the Jungle.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for being here, Dan, today, and for sharing your work with us and your experience, and for all of your perseverance in changing the world. I really appreciate what you guys are doing and admire your path and your journey, and I wish you all the best with what's to come for your Ayahuasca Adventure Center, and I know it's going to be great. So thanks very much for being here.
Thank you, Emily, and good luck with your radio show and your continued work in the field of inspiring people and setting an example for those youngsters looking for their path. It's very important. Right. Yeah, we need all the help and brains and passion we can muster for this time of opportunity on our planet.
For sure. So join us next week, same time, when we will be interviewing a beautiful young man named Michael Riley. Michael is 24 years old and has struggled with thoughts of suicide as early as grade 2. He began to wake up spiritually in his early 20s and is now on a path of healing using self-love, meditation, and yoga. Michael is a very interesting story and is now able to speak out and share about it so that others can find some inspiration and support. And let's face it, teen suicide is a real thing right now. And so listen in next week to hear firsthand what goes on in many kids' minds and hearts and how we can move through this with love. So thanks again for listening to Blue Star Radio. Stay true and strong out there. This is your host, Emily Cleland, sending loving vibes your way.